So I often say, that's a story for another day.
Pretty much every episode.
Yes.
It's repetitive and frustrating.
It is. But today is one of those stories for another day.
Oh my God.
Today's the day. Because it's eventually the time that I talk about the movie I was in.
Are you talking about your old-timey wrestling cinematic experience?
I am on IMDb for my old wrestling exploits, yes. But this is an actual movie. Like a big budget feature film that I was in.
Like nothing to report?
Not that big. This is the story I've been wanting to tell a long time about how I was in a major motion picture in Japan. The Ringside Story. Have you heard of it?
So I'd really like to want to flatter you, but I don't imagine that was an American release.
No, this was a Japanese-only release.
So why would I have heard of it?
I mean, I talk about it all the time.
What? I mean, yeah, you do. For being literal, I've heard about it several times, mostly from you.
Exactly. Probably not going to hear about it from anywhere else. Maybe the internet. I don't know how much Japanese stuff you look up.
Nothing that we can discuss on this show.
Yeah,
really.
people that are into anime might know.
What, are you credited in Cowboy Bebop?
No, I wish. That probably gets a lot of views.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
The Beebs is great.
But today, we talk about the Ringside Story. Major motion picture that I happened to accidentally get in Japan.
Why you got to admit to the accidental part?
I'm not an actor, Pete, and I'm not going to claim to be an actor. It just so happens that I've done some acting stuff.
It just so happens that I'm a credited actor. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I'm humble about it. Stay humble.
Hashtag no eye contact.
Yeah, hashtag stay humble. Let's go back to August of 2016. It was my first tour of Japan, my first official one. Now, I have told the story a little bit about how I went over for a month tryout in February 2016 for Wrestle 1 in Japan, and they pretty much tortured me. Toughest month of my life. They just beat me up and made me squat, and they ignored me, and I pretty much starved.
Could you say made me do squats?
What'd I say?
They made me squat.
Oh, yeah, they made me do squats until, I was dying, hours at a time. 3,000 squats, you can't walk, and they have you run a lot, and they beat you up. So I left at the end of February thinking they hated me. A few weeks later, they emailed me, and they were like, hey, we'd love you, come back.
We still hate you, but would you come back?
Yeah, we respect you, and that's the important part in Japan. They respect you. So they're like, all right, go ahead and come back. And they gave me, they wanted me to come back in 4 weeks. I was like, I can't swing that, but I'll come back in August. So I went back August of 2016, and this was really cool because this is the tour where they were going to have their biggest show of the year, their Japanese WrestleMania for Wrestle 1.
Oh, is that Love in Yokohama?
It is Love in Yokohama.
That I've heard of.
Yep, exactly, man. So it was going to be the biggest show they've ever had. And they brought in all the stars for it. There was one foreign on the show. Yours truly.
Great.
I might have been a gimmick.
What was your moniker? Did you have one?
No, I was in a huge 10-man match.
Oh, you weren't the Gaijin I was then introduced?
No, I mean, I'm sure they said that. Yeah, they're probably American. And there's words and things that stuck out on the commentary, WWE and Jimmy Yang and things like that, where they were talking about me. And they mentioned a few companies I was the champion for at the time. So it'd be weird to hear OCW Heavy Q champion.
Did they reference WRW?
They didn't. I guess I would have been the champion of my own company at the time. I don't think they did. It was in the guidebook, though. It was in the program. So they put I was the WRW champion in their official program, which was awesome. It was a nice book.
Well, you're the longest tenured WRW champion.
It's true. So I was over for that month, right? The dojo we live in is a huge building, and there's always a ton of stuff going on. We also share with K1 Kickboxing, and there's also a capoeira club, there's a jiu-jitsu club, there's a taekwondo club, and then they film stuff there all the time. So, and there's press conferences there once or twice a week. So it's not unusual for there to be press and media and everyone just there. Sometimes upstairs they have huge kickboxing tournaments and events, and I'll walk out of my dorm room, and there'll be 150 people just in our lobby. So that's not weird. Or I'll just go upstairs to hang my laundry up to dry because we have to take it up to the 5th floor. And then there'll just be 1,000 people in our gym watching 6-year-olds do Muay Thai.
So basically you're just accustomed to being famous.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm living behind the curtain here. And several times I walked upstairs to see 8-year-olds murdering each other with Muay Thai. Legit, 2 8-year-olds in a ring kicking each other's heads off in front of 1,000 screaming Japanese people. This happened multiple times. So like that's not unusual for me to walk outside my room and see like 3 cameramen.
See child on child violence.
Yeah, they're tough children. That
Well, of course they are.
That culture's different. All right, it's not weird.
Is this like they're cockfighting over there, except the chickens are valuable, so they get 8-year-olds?
Yeah, exactly. There's a premium on chickens. There's a lot of kids. So this is not weird. But there were like a few days in a row where I started walking outside my dorm and there were just a lot of cameras and there was a lot of stuff going on. And eventually I was like, man, they're not just, these aren't press conferences. This isn't a kickboxing tournament. What the hell is going on? So I'm like kind of curious. So eventually I asked one of the guys I share the dorm with, I'm like, oh, hey, cameras, why? So, movie. I was like, movie? Like, yeah. Wrestle 1 movie. It's like, oh, okay. And that's all I got out of him was movie. I was like,
because he had too much shame. He can't admit to the adult film being created in your dojo.
I mean, I had no idea what it was. And I would not be shocked by Japanese culture. Like whatever they throw at you, there's a lot of weird stuff produced there. A lot of different stuff. I shouldn't say weird. A lot of different stuff.
A lot of unique cinematic experiences.
For instance, in vending machines there, you can get anything. You can go buy used panties. You can go buy cigarettes, and you can buy a small coffee in the same vending machine.
That's weird. Do you get a combo deal if you get all 3 of those things?
I don't know. I can't read it. All I know is if I put in 100 yen, I get a small coffee, like 8 ounces. It can be hot or cold. There's a red button and a blue button. Convenience. If I walk a block down the road, I can probably find it for 60 yen.
Well, that would just be smart shopping. Why don't you walk further down the road?
Yeah,
You're being fiscally irresponsible.
40 yen worth 2 blocks?
What is that in American
32 cents.
Less than the cost of a stamp. I'm going to say no.
Yeah, see, I don't know. But these are things I learned. I mean, if I was conveniently walking past that vending machine, yeah, you bet.
Keep a little extra coin in that fanny pack.
Yeah, see, there's like a few vending machines in our building, and my only pre-workout is my 100 yen coffee. That's the pre-workout I use in Japan. 100 yen cold coffee.
And I bet it's not Folgers.
King, I think was the brand.
So Body by King.
The other ones I can't read.
Nice.
Anyway, they say, movie. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm trying to decipher what's going on. A few days later, I'm laying in my dorm. And at the time, I was on the bottom bunk of this dorm with 4 beds. And I just know there's a lot of stuff going on outside. They're making a lot of noise. So the dorm room comes open. One of our office workers walks in, and then another woman behind him. And they're looking around, obviously, for somebody else in the room that's not in the room, because it's only me.
Searching for Hino?
Hino doesn't live there. He wasn't in the movie. I know. Travesty. They should have put him in the movie. Probably couldn't afford him. They look at me, and the woman looks at me and cocks her head visibly sideways. And then they both walk out of the room. A minute later, they come back in, and Suzuki-san, who's an office worker that doesn't speak a lot of English, comes up to me. He's like, hey, movie. She producer, do you want to be in movie? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Which is funny because she didn't ask me. She had to go through the office to ask me, but she spoke English, decent English. Because we started talking a few minutes later and she was able to explain to me some of what's going on.
Why did you not immediately refer her to your agent who handles your cinematic bookings?
What do you speak?
Bad English.
Yeah. She also spoke bad English. Maybe it would have worked.
Bam.
But the time difference wouldn't have worked. It was probably really late for you. It was like 2 a.m. They weren't going to stop filming for me. So they asked me, do you want to be in a movie? I'm like, yeah, sure. Cool. I have no idea what's going on. I still didn't know the name of the movie. Didn't know what it was about. They're like, okay, stay. We come back. But they don't say how long. So I'm hanging out in my dorm. And eventually, an hour or two later, I go downstairs, grab some food, eat real fast, come back up to the room, watch some Netflix on my phone. 3 or 4 hours later, they come and get me. And all they explain to me is, okay, you stand here. And then they roundabout explain, everybody's going to run. We're on the 2nd floor. Everybody's going to run upstairs. When they give me a cue, I run in, join in, and run upstairs. That's all they told me.
Why aren't you running with the rest of them? What's your motivation here?
Well, see, there's people running from every floor. I'm just on the 2nd floor. So there's people running from the basement, the 1st floor, then the 2nd, and then the 3rd floor, and then we all run upstairs. I'm like, okay, cool. So the thing they said to me was, fire alarm, run upstairs. All right, I understand what you're saying. I think in a fire alarm situation, I'd run the other way. But hey, I'm not going to argue with you.
You got to get up high so you can jump from the roof to your safety.
Yeah, exactly. Run away from the fire on the basement floor, apparently. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm standing behind a fellow named Andy Wu, who's our masked wrestler. And then everybody starts running from the basement. And then they give us a cue. And then we run into the stairwell and we run upstairs. The funny thing about this is we had to run up to the 5th floor. And we had to film the scene. We run into the stairwell and run up like 5 stairs and they stop us. And then we had to do that again, like 10 times. And in between every take, it took a few minutes. So to run like 10 feet takes you like an hour to shoot, even though it's less than 3 seconds. So we had to do it like 10 times. Then they film us running up another flight of stairs, and then another flight of stairs, and then another flight of stairs, 10 takes apiece with 2 or 3 minutes in between each one. Until we eventually get up to the 5th floor. Now, the small cool thing about this is I'm just an extra. However, I'm the only white person in the movie. And when we're running upstairs, it just so happened that I got positioned right behind the main actress. So I am like crystal clear in this shot.
Tell me you were the villain chasing her up the flight of stairs.
I mean, in any other Japanese movie, that's how they would have cast me. But since I was an extra, no. But they would cast an American villain. They don't like us.
What?
Yeah, believe it or not, especially ones that look like me. I'm large. So anyway, we run up this flight of stairs, and it was also really funny because the showers are on the basement floor, and some of the guys had to act like they were running out of the shower. So they just had towels on, and they would have to spray them down in between takes with a spray bottle to keep them wet. And then there were other people downstairs that were supposed to be working out, so they were supposed to be sweaty, and they had to spray those people down in between every take. So for us to get from the 2nd floor up to the 5th floor took like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
So you and a bunch of fake sweaty and naked dudes are in a stairwell chasing a woman.
Yeah, pretty much. But we're all running together. Like we're not chasing her. We're all running together upstairs because something terrible is happening in our building.
Fire.
Apparently. So, and I have no idea why. I don't know what the scene is, anything going on. So we finally run upstairs. We get to the doorway on the 5th floor. Then they like mark off the floor where we're supposed to run. They show us where to run. So we run from that stairwell into our gym 20 times to get in position, right? Then our fearless leader, Great Muda, he's like Japanese Hulk Hogan. He runs the company, is in the ring. He gets on the mic. He says something. I don't know what he says. We all turn to the woman who's now in the middle of the group. We all grab her, pick her up, and start throwing her in the air.
That seems reasonable. Yeah, there's a fire in the basement.
Yep.
You chase her up the stairs, and then you're trying to throw her to safety?
Yeah, and she looks terrified. Like, she looks super scared. So we all grab her and start throwing her in there. We throw her up in there 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then there's like 7 or 8 cameras on every scene at all times. But then all the cameras have to reposition. A few of them go upstairs. They change angles. We threw this poor woman in the air like 55 times. For like the next 30 minutes, we took this girl and just threw her in the air repeatedly.
Well, I'm sure she enjoyed every single second of it because, I mean, why not? Big bunch of dudes throwing you in the air. Maybe she was a cheerleader in high school. She's uniquely prepared.
Yeah, we're not going to drop her. It's a lot of man.
It's a lot of man.
And I wasn't even like touching her because there were so many of us like around. So like I'm just on the outskirts acting like I'm throwing, and then I'm yelling whatever we were yelling. Like, woo, woo, like Spartans. And then we put her down, say something, the boss says something, and then we all clap. So I'm figuring out from all this, we must be welcoming her into our crew.
Oh, wait, and this is where your jealous rage comes in, because never did they throw you in the air to let you know that you were now one of them.
Sure, they didn't actually, yeah.
Right?
But it's like we jumped her into the gang. They didn't jump me into actually, they kind of jumped me into the gang. They tortured me that month. I did get jumped into the gang.
Yay.
Yeah, so we're throwing up or down. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what's happening. Then I'm trying to think, maybe 2 or 3 days later, they're like, okay, hey, another scene we filmed today. Okay. So this next scene, we all go upstairs and we have to film a scene where we're training. She's talking to her manager or whatever outside the ring while other people are training in the ring. So we get upstairs and we're just like hanging out in between takes, right? So this woman comes up to me, the actress, and she starts speaking to me in English, really good English, which is super rare because, like I said, no one in my company speaks English at all. So the producer knows a little bit, so I talked to her some, and then this actress is super happy to speak English with me, and she's fluent almost. So that was super cool. So we had a great conversation.
Did you get them digits?
You know, I was just so happy to be speaking with another human being Didn't even think about getting those digits.
Shot down. I understand.
Yeah, totally. I do know how to say you're beautiful in Japanese and my name, what's yours? Yeah.
You know, those two phrases and asking for the bathroom, you pretty much said.
Watashi no name wa Jake desu. Kiere desu ne.
See? You can survive in any country with just that knowledge.
Those are like a few of the things I used to learn when I went to other countries. Like straight up. A few of the things I used to learn. And Pete, I'm not into Japanese women, but this woman was beautiful. And I'll admit that. You can Google her. So talking to her for a while, and she's super cool. And I'm like, oh, you're English, really good. She's like, oh, my husband from California, Jew. I'm like, okay.
Is she married to like Ben Shapiro or something? What does she mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know, but that's the way she put it. She's like, yeah, my husband, California, Jew.
this is terribly insensitive.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's your curly locks. She just assumed she was helping you. It's like, no, it's cool. You must be too.
My type. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if my hair was down or up, actually. It might have been down. So yeah, she might have thought,
you were the
Jew
beneficiary of stereotyping.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Which is fine because it started a great conversation. She was cool. So we talked for quite a while. I didn't shoot my shot or anything. And then after we talked, she had to go talk to the director or whatever. And then another wrestler came up to me, Sakamoto, who's also the guy who volunteered to get stabbed in the head. So I didn't have to get stabbed in the head. Did I talk about that on the podcast?
You've talked about that with me, but not on the podcast.
Okay, cool. So that's a story for another day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But at one point, I was going to have to get stabbed in the head with a bunch of wooden sticks. And this other wrestler thought I didn't know what I was agreeing to. So he took it for me. So he volunteered to get stabbed in the head with a bunch of sticks. And I didn't have to because he thought I was an ignorant American and didn't know what the guy was asking.
Well thought, new semantics.
Yeah. So Sakamoto I love him. He made sure I didn't get stabbed in the head on TV, which I was going to let it happen because it was the biggest show I've ever done. This place is huge, thousands of people. It was on TV for the next month straight. And the production was great. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll get stabbed in the head on this show.
So you let some guy steal your shine. Perhaps you looked at that the wrong way. Perhaps he was not saving you. He
might have wanted that. That's fine. Honestly, at the end of the day, there's no scars on my forehead, and I'm cool. So Sakamoto-san came up to me. He's like, yeah, I heard, actress, do you know? And he was in the WWE for a few years, so he speaks a little bit of English. I'm like, no, I don't know. He's like, very famous, big star. I was like, oh, her? And he's like, yeah, very famous. Erika Sato. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I remember that name because I wanted to look her up later. And yeah, she's super famous, apparently. Like Renee Zellweger of Japan.
Is there a Japanese Jerry Maguire-san?
Ooh, I haven't seen all her movies.
Do you have like 19 copies of that in your vehicle too? If
there's a Japanese Jerry Maguire, I want to watch it, and I hope she's in it. I've actually meant to look up some of her movies, but I haven't. There was one of her movies I looked up, this horror movie. The Slipmouth Girl. Or no, it's called Carved. Yeah. The literal translation in Japan was the Slipmouth Girl, but it's called Carved. It was a sweet horror movie.
That's real weird.
Yeah, we should look it up. We should watch it.
Yeah.
I was on a big kick of watching Asian horror movies for a while, mostly Korean. They're brutal.
The next horror movie on my list is actually Albino Farm.
Albino Farm?
Yes.
Is that a Chris Jericho movie?
Yes.
No, I figured.
I mean, if it's anything like Nothing to Report.
For new listeners, Pete's a huge Chris Jericho fan, and that's going to come up a lot.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, you're famous because you're in a movie. Chris Jericho's been in several movies. I'm just using your own logic.
You're my booking agent for movies and football, so if you want to hit him up.
Tell you what, you double my salary, you double my present salary, I will get you in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot alongside Chris Jericho.
Dude, I will gladly double your pay.
Tremendous.
I'll give you 40% off the top if you can get me in that. Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody knows anybody, I'm going to need help.
My modeling agent only gets 20% off the top. And my wrestling agent only gets 20% off the top.
Well, they're not putting you in a Kevin Smith film. So.
Exactly. Hell, man. I'm willing to negotiate more. Yes. Can you get me lines?
Oh, I was hoping you're going to be the stunt double for Silent Bob.
No, fair enough. Do I have that kind of physique?
Well, you're going to have to work.
I'm going to put on some weight.
Hey, it sacrifices to make it in Hollywood, man.
I probably would put on a lot of weight to be in that movie. So Sakamoto told me like, oh yeah, she's like super famous. I looked her up later. She is super famous. And then she was also like a teen idol kind of girl for a while. It was like kind of a model. So like if you Google her, you might find some stuff that is up your alley if you're into Japanese women. Just didn't work for me. Anyway.
Totally could have. Just didn't shoot my shot. Just didn't do it.
Yeah, obviously I'm famous. Like her husband wasn't there. He's probably in California being a bad husband.
Right. Terrible.
Yeah.
Why aren't you there supporting your wife?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't really think about it too much, but that's neat that she wanted to talk to me. I was like, I just like that she spoke English. Anyway, that scene was actually my favorite scene that we filmed. I was in a few other scenes, but I'm just going to talk about this one more because it was so funny. Also, all of them got cut except for the stairwell scene. So
your hours of stairwell running made like 3 seconds of screen time?
The 3 days I spent filming, I made, 12, 30, 40 seconds maybe, most, just running upstairs and then throwing her in the air.
But it was enough to get you credited.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally credited.
Oh, bam.
Yeah, for sure. But another one of the scenes we filmed was in the ring. She's talking to her manager, or outside the ring, she's talking to her manager. In the ring, our fearless leader, Kaz Hayashi, and president of the company, is body slamming guys just repeatedly. So he's in the line of the people he's body slamming are 2 of our trainees and then 2 actors, a really skinny actor and a really big actor. And in Japan, they will never admit that what we do isn't a 100% competition. These guys think what we do is a 100% competition. It's 100% legitimate. They won't admit to him that it's not. As the filming's going on, trainee number 1 walks up to Kaz. Kaz picks him up, slams the hell out of him. Trainee number 2 comes up. Kaz slams the hell out of him. Actor number 1 comes up. Kaz picks him up and slams the hell out of him. Now, this guy has no idea what to do. He's just like a limp fish in the water, and he smashes into the mat so hard, he hits his head every time.
Oh.
Dude. And then he could barely get up because he was in so much pain from being slammed. But then he has to get up, get right back in line. And then Kaz, who weighs all of $180, has to pick up this actor that weighs probably 260 straight up off the ground without the dude jumping at all or helping him at all, and slams the hell out of him. And the same thing, the big dude lands all awkward. He lands different body parts at different times, and his head hits every time.
So there's not even a little bit like, hey, maybe tuck.
No, nothing, because they won't ever admit that. So they're getting slammed, and the scene gets cut. The director yells cut at different points every time, depending on how the scene goes with the manager and the actress. So you can just tell as it's getting to be the 3rd and 4th guy in line, they're looking over, hoping that the director yells cut before they get slammed, especially the big guy, because they're in so much pain. We had to film this scene no less than 10 times. I want to say 12 or 13 times easily. Every single time these dudes had to take 2, 3, 4 slams while the scene was being filmed. Dude, these guys were in horrendous pain. You could tell it was messing them up. I felt so bad. Now, I was just standing at ringside with my hands crossed on the elbows on the mat, just looking at them. That's all I had to do. Myself and one other wrestler were just right there, arms on the ring watching.
Well, clearly then they had to cut it because you stole the scene, right?
I looked so good. My arms looked huge. Actually, I wasn't in such great shape at the time. I looked fine.
That's about average.
I looked fine. Not how I look now. I was 110 kilos.
Were we 2.25 then? What?
I was about 100 kilos, yeah. I was a good old 222. Yeah. Now I'm 240 for anyone who's asking. So
yeah, but he's still only 5'11". Don't get too excited.
Yeah. Now, most people from my company are 5'10", 5'11". That's why a 6'1.5" guy like me stands out. And then if I put little tiny gel lifts in my boots, 6'2.25".
Oh, man. That probably is a thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I put some in my boots the other day, and a buddy of mine came up to me. He hadn't seen me in a year or two. He's like, man, you got so big. And then eventually I put my boots on. He's like, hey, man, do you have lifts in your boots? Because I know you're a lot more muscular than me now, but I don't think you were this much taller than me. I was like, oh, yeah, man, I have a extra ½ inch in my boots.
Tell me this was Russ. He's oh, yeah, clearly I'm more jacked than you, buddy.
No, Russ sees me a lot.
And Russ is huge.
Ron Mathis doesn't see me very often. He made me feel great. So the funniest scene of my life is these 2 actors just getting slammed and slammed and slammed. They're also bandaged up to look like they've had the crap kicked out of them in the movie, but they actually have had the crap kicked out of them. So none of the bandages are legit, but they need the bandages. Like, these guys are rough.
We need Japanese icy hot and Maybe a trainer, a masseuse.
Ooh, one of the things I love about wrestling in Japan is if you have a knockdown, drag out, brutal match, immediately after the 3 count, the young boys, like the trainees, jump in the ring with ice packs and cold spray, and will cold spray your neck and put an ice pack on your neck immediately.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a sign of you just had a brutal competitive match, and it's like respect because you went so hard. So twice this has happened to me. Only twice.
Well, you phoned it in most of the time, let's be honest.
Yeah, I did.
You're like the Brooklyn Brawler over there.
Yeah.
You just phoning it in.
I will lose every night if they pay me to. But yeah, Kirk and Hall after the biggest match of my life and December 10th of 2017, yeah, I totally got some cold spray and I got an ice pack. And then they rolled me out of the ring to my standing ovation.
I thought you were going to say to a gurney.
And the other one was, it was on this tour, I think August of 16, I think it was on this tour. I worked a singles match, main event for the secondary title in some country town. And we went hardcore. Like we went balls to the wall for 1704 or something like that. And then, I got an ice pack there too. So that was pretty sweet.
But you get a belt?
I didn't get a belt.
Well, then who cares? Bring home the medals.
The rumor was before I left last time, they're going to put a belt on me to bring to the States. But then I left before they were going to do it.
Oh, so now you got no belts. No WRW belt, no WrestleOne belt.
I have like 4 little company belts right now.
Crap. This really ruins my point. It was me making you feel bad and insignificant. So I get 50% when I get you in that Kevin Smith film.
I mean, please, you can have 50% if you get me in that film with lines. I didn't have lines in the Ringside Story. So anyway, yeah, this was like I want to reiterate, this is like a multi-million-dollar, huge box office movie that's being made. And you can just tell by the way it's being put together. Not like a lot of people who are talking about their small parts and,
Name names.
No,
Name names. Like Mr. Spectacular? You can say it.
No, Mr. Spectacular, that is my dude, and he's probably in legit things. He was on Big Brother. That's legit.
I mean, to a degree.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's probably the best actor on the whole thing.
Well, no, what's his face? The other tiny guy from California.
Oh, Damon? Damon's in everything. He was in Bumblebee. He was in some huge music video that just got released today or tomorrow. I think it's going to be on Conan O'Brien soon.
If Vin Diesel was 60 pounds heavier, I think it'd be Damon.
Oh, yeah. He wishes he was Damon.
Yeah, and a much nicer person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Damon's a man. I want to put him over some more. Follow him at NomadPicks. That's pretty much the filming experience. But I didn't know, hey, when's this going to come out? It took me a long time to hear the name of the movie. I had to ask a bunch of people and Google it and everything. Eventually, I found an article that said that Eriko Sato was connected to a movie called Ringside Story. I learned about kind of what the plot was through that. The plot being that this woman is dating this failed actor and she loses her job. So he applies for her to get a job in the office at WrestleOne Professional Wrestling. And he's a huge wrestling fan. So he writes the letter like she is a super fan. And then she gets the job. And she reports to work and she doesn't like it because it's crazy and weird. And all this insanity is going on because wrestling's insane. And then, but even more insanity is going on. But then she starts liking the job a lot and thinks it's great. Then he gets jealous thinking she's hooking up with one of the workers. And then he has to run it for her.
So he's the spoiler. He's not there because he wants to become a wrestler. He's just there to creepily stalk his lady.
Yeah, because he wanted to reap the benefits of her getting the job, but then he gets jealous. Then he gets her fired, and then she ends up working for our related company, which is K1 Kickboxing. Then he tries to run it for her again. The only way to save his and her honor is for him to fight in a kickboxing fight at the end of the movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And is it like Rocky? Like valiant effort, but he gets knocked the F out?
Man, you got to see it. We're gonna have a screening of this movie.
I'm down.
Yeah, if anyone's down for a screening, let me know, because we're going to screen this movie. I bought it, which is another story. It took me, so the movie ended up coming out in October of 17, and it just so happened that I was on tour there most of the end of 17. So, anyway, I'll come back to that in a second. But after the movie came out, it was released on DVD 5 months later. It took me another 4 or 5 months to find a copy of the DVD on Japanese Amazon. I had to log into Japanese Amazon, buy it. I had to go around something because it wasn't supposed to be sold to America. And then I had to get a copy of the Japanese DVD. It cost me $45, but I got it.
What price can you put on fame?
Yeah, I just wanted to see it. I got a copy of it. Of course, it's a Japanese only DVD, so I had to download a special program that could play a Japanese DVD. So now I can watch it, but only on my laptop, and then I can HDMI connect it to a TV.
Worth it?
Oh yeah, totally worth it. It's great. I have the actual case, the actual DVD. Yeah, it's awesome. Unfortunately, there aren't cutscenes because I really wanted to see the scene where those dudes just got slammed.
Are there subtitles?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, totally. And by the way, if you're a person that watches foreign movies with dubbed English, not cool, man.
That's just a terrible idea. Why would you do that?
People do it. Some
That's
of our
awful.
friends do it.
No, they don't.
They do.
Name names.
One of our friends totally does that. He's like, oh yeah, I don't like having to read.
Is it Tony?
No.
I was going to say, because he's Asian.
Yeah, English isn't even his first language.
Right.
He's willing to read. So no, it's one of our ginger friends.
Gross.
You know. So Pete's ginger, by the way, if anyone doesn't know.
Self-loathing ginger.
Yeah, exactly. The only type of ginger. Anyway, I eventually got the DVD, got to watch it. The movie, fantastic. But I was over there on October 17, so I got to go see the movie in theaters.
You just about said my movie, didn't
My
you?
movie. Yeah, the movie I was in. So, and I asked the wrestlers, I was like, oh, hey, Ringside Story, a movie theater. Do you want to go? And 2 or 3 guys I talked to, no. Oh, why? We are not in much. Oh, okay. But you're in like a movie that's in theaters. Like there's a huge, gigantic like billboard with the Ringside Story on the outside of the theater, and you're in the movie. And none of the boys want to watch it.
So it's not like an indie film.
No, I went to a small, like, I guess it would be like an independent theater in Shinjuku, like near where we lived. So it wasn't in like the gigantic Toho Cinemas, the one with Godzilla climbing it, but it was at like this super fancy independent theater. But it actually was in major theaters across the country. It just happened to be in our town only in the small theater.
Japan's not that big a country, dog. Quit trying to brag.
Dude, this city is huge. 40 million people. So I walked in. On the first floor, there was a ticket machine. So I had to figure out how to buy a ticket to the movie, totally in Japanese, with no pictures, no nothing. There was no English button on this sucker.
Maybe there was. You just couldn't read it.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's true. Yeah. But I know only a few letters. And I knew pretty much Ringside Story. So I figured it out, totally bought the ticket, got myself up to the 2nd or 3rd floor to watch the movie, went in. I bought the program too, like the book, because they have the book for every movie there, which is super cool. Got to watch the movie in the theaters. Obviously, I was the only white person in the theater on a midday, like a Wednesday.
Okay, so obvious.
Yeah, obviously. There were like 20 Japanese people in there, but I was the only white one. I saw it a few days after it got released. And then I'm watching the movie. It's great. And I didn't know the plot at the time, like just the vague idea. Oh, by the way, there were no subtitles.
I was going to say, how'd you know the plot after the movie either? You don't speak Japanese.
So, yeah, there were no subtitles. This was all in Japanese, but you could figure it out. Like, you could figure out the whole movie. Just like, oh, I get it, because of body language and reactions and emotion. Great actors. That's what I'm going to say. Great acting. But it was so hokey. So ridiculously hokey in every good way. And then as the cast and credits are rolling, I'm looking really hard for my name to see if I'm in it. After I got home at the end of 2017, a month or 2 later, someone messaged me on Facebook, and it was random Japanese person. And this went to my inbox. It didn't go to my filtered or anything. We had no mutual friends. The dude didn't have a profile picture. And it was just like, hi, casting director, Ringside Story. What do you want your name? I was like, oh, cool. And then I said something. They're like, you want ring name or you want real name? I was like, well, I'm going to have an IMDb. It's going to be under my work name. So yeah, Jake Omen, that sucker.
Dr. Jacob Omen.
Dr. Jacob Omen.
Like it says on IMDb.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Jake Omen. I was like, okay. I was wondering if they were going to even put me in, because I didn't expect to be asked that, since I was just a dude in the backdrop.
Not just the dude in the backdrop.
I was the only white dude in the movie. Except for, I think there was a scene where they were actually watching a movie in the movie, and there was a white dude being interrogated by police. That, if my friend, is a metaphor.
Tell me they filmed a scene from a fake movie just to show it in their real movie.
I think it had to be, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Probably was. I can't say for sure. But yeah, I'm the only white person in the movie. So the credits are rolling. I'm looking for my name in Japanese, because, like I said, I don't know how to read much, but I know my name and I know certain things.
But I know my own name. I'm pretty confident I know my name.
Well, I have to know it because, like, that's how they put my name on the merch table. And when I get on the bus or assigned seat, my name is usually written in Japanese. So it's just really important that I know my name. Or if I get the wrestling magazine, I need to know my name so I can find myself. So I know that it's not as narcissistic as that actually sounds.
No, it's just really funny. It's like, no, I know my own name. When would a normal person have to explain? No, it's important that I know my name. Yeah. Why wouldn't you know your name? Like, yes, we get it.
Yeah, I need to be able to find it in every language. Jericho Omen. I'm looking for it so hard that I almost miss it. It's at the very top of the screen when I finally see it written in English.
English is still your first language, right? Like, you know how to speak it, read it, write it?
It is. But I wasn't looking for it in these credits because it was all Japanese.
So it didn't then stand out to you?
No, it didn't. Because there were 2 or 3 names written in Japanese or English. So, and that was like 2 of the other wrestlers who are Japanese, but sometimes Japanese professional wrestlers stylize their name in English. So like Nosawa is just written in English, or Kai is just written in English.
Tell me Kai has his name tattooed on him in English. Or some other phrase. Tell me peace in English.
I don't think he has tattoos. Sometimes Japanese people do have English words tattooed on them, though. It goes both ways.
Are they good ones?
Hope. Power. The same stuff we get tattooed on us in kanji.
That's awesome.
Yeah, tree.
Instead of getting a tree.
Tree. Dude, we should get that in English, just tree. I'm going to get that on my knuckles.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, tree.
What's that mean? What do you mean? Just get all indignant. Why would you even ask that?
You know, I'm super anti kanji tattoos, but I almost, like, a part of me wants to get the kanji tattoos. Only the 2 symbols that are my city, Shinjuku, like on my knuckles. But I don't want people to make fun of me.
They would.
I know. I'd make fun of me a little bit too. But that part of the city, like, changed my life. I love that city. I got mail in that city, Pete. My residence was that city.
Yes, it's true. It's where you filmed your first movie.
Yeah, that's where I filmed my first major motion picture of many to come.
Direct to DVD?
It wasn't direct to DVD.
I know, you said you saw it in the theater. It's not like you just released a film on like Comedy Central and then YouTube, like a chump.
Yeah, exactly. I went straight to the top. The budget on this movie, I think, was like 15 mil. I'm estimating.
15 million yen or?
No, dollars, bro. Which means 150 million yen.
Ooh.
Big major production. Don't know how it did box office though. Probably broke even.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. Certainly I wasn't there. I don't have a DVD player, and I don't have a DVD player that has the Japanese crack, so I can watch it, whatever region they're in.
Yeah, the beautiful actress has been getting work ever since then.
Probably because of you.
Yeah, I made her look great. Surprised she hasn't called me up to be her American love interest in some other film.
Well, have you put that out there? You said you didn't shoot your shot.
I should probably tweet her. Japanese are really into Twitter.
Oh yeah, just let her know.
Instagram is just now becoming popular, but they're really into Twitter.
Oh, you get out ahead of that. You know it's going to go to Instagram.
I know, but I don't know if she has one right now. Most Japanese people don't. It's just all Twitter.
Give her a heads up. You know what? Let her know I'll be her agent too.
Cool. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. So I've been wanting to tell that story for a while. That's my ringside story, Pete.
Why did you choose now to tell your stupid story, Jake?
I just have a feeling that we might have some more first listeners this week.
Why would that be?
Because this Thursday I'm on Art Speak Presents live at the Harrison Center at 8 p.m.
And everyone's so excited about it.
You sound excited.
Yeah, I really am. Why would I sound not so enthusiastic about it? I'm
going to put over our podcast, your podcast, also the Art Speaker podcast, and all of my friends.
Oh, the Art Speaker podcast.
Which I was on recently.
Because you're a podcast hussy.
2 months ago. I podcast cheated on you. I'm sorry, man. It was for both of us, though. I wanted us both to get some more exposure. I learned a few things that I brought to our podcast relationship.
Could you make this sound more like you've just cheated on me in like an actual relationship?
No, you should be thankful that I went and experimented with another podcast and learned some new tricks.
I mean, are you happier because of it? Are you more satisfied?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't have to tell you about it, but I did tell you about it because I'm the bigger person.
Look, if you're just not mature enough to handle it, if you're too insecure,
I could have blocked you from Instagram and Facebook, and you wouldn't even have any idea that I was on that podcast.
Really, I should be thanking you.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally.
Did you listen to it?
I'm not prepared to discuss it yet. I'm not emotionally ready.
Yeah, you might have learned a thing or two as well. And you can thank Trevor in person this Thursday at the Harrison Center, 16th Street in Delaware-ish
What
at
time?
8 p.m.
Eastern?
Yeah, for sure. Get there at 7:30. Why not? They're cool people. It's a great art gallery too.
Art?
Yeah. It's the Harrison Center for the Arts.
Ugh.
At Harrison Center Arts.
Do I have to learn anything?
I'm not going to force you to,
Do I have to be cultured?
but debatably. And then I'll talk about my art of professional wrestling, Pete. It will captivate you. Yeah, the reason I was only on the Art Speaker podcast at first is they do that weekly, whereas Art Speak Presents, the live like interview presentation event, they only do every 2 months because that's a bigger deal. But I got on the podcast, told Trevor my story. He thought it was super interesting. And then he was like, it's time to graduate to the big time, buddy.
Will there be programs and wine and cheese?
I don't think there's going to be programs or hors d'oeuvres, but maybe I'll see what I can do.
Start making demands. Now that it's too late to back out. Now it's been yeah, dog. I'm going to need Gruyere and some port, as well as some sweet programs.
Yeah, you can put that in my green room.
Here we go.
Which they don't have, but I'll ask for a green room.
They don't even have a green room?
Probably a private art gallery room.
Man, if you're like performing art agent could do better, maybe you wouldn't have these problems.
Hey man, maybe I'll replace him with my regular wrestling agent or my modeling agent. I don't know. But if he could step up his game, that'd be great.
You got a lot of people wearing a lot of hats.
I'm just trying to diversify, man. Trying to diversify. I'll stop rambling now. Thanks for listening to At Off the Cliff Pod. If this is your first time, let us know. I have a feeling we're going to get a few more hits on this one. I'm at Jacob in 2012 on everything. Pete is at Multimedia Hustle on everything. And we'll be back next Wednesday.